The Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a classic. Grand battles, endless drama, cool characters, lots of valuable lessons. The only issue is it's way too long, with 120 chapters. The adapted movies usually run 100 episodes. So in this series, I'll condense it into 3 video episodes. Of course, many details and characters will be left out, but you'll definitely get the main events of the Three Kingdoms after this series. Now let's get started. In the final years of the Eastern Han Dynasty, the emperor only trusted eunuchs, so the government was in chaos. The economy collapsed and the people were starving. Desperate, 3 brothers from a Chinese wizarding family started a rebellion. They often wore yellow headbands, so they were called the Yellow Turbans. At this point, the Han army was so weak they couldn't resist, so they posted an ad looking for freelancers to help. This part of the story is mainly to introduce the characters, because the major players all show up and make a name for themselves during this rebellion. Like the trio of Liu, Guan, and Zhong, Liu Bei, a sandal vendor, but a distant relative of the emperor who's pretty much untouchable, Guan Yu, a bean seller, and Zhang Fei, a butcher. These 3 hit it off and decided to become sworn brothers under the peach tree, then joined the army together. There's also Cao Cao, the master of betrayal, a foster nephew of a powerful eunuch, and Sun Jian, the fierce tiger of the East, a descendant of Sun Tzu. Liu Bei, Cao Cao, and Sun Jian are the 3 who lay the foundation for the Three Kingdoms. However, even after quelling the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the root of the problem remained. It was the 10 corrupt eunuchs known as the 10 regular attendants. This group had an anti-faction led by the queen's brother, He Jin, along with Cao Cao and his old classmate, Yuan Shao, a man with a family legacy of 3 generations serving in high positions. Though they managed to place He Jin's nephew, Emperor Shao, on the throne, they didn't know what to do next. So, He Jin came up with a bold move. He called in a general from the borderlands, Dong Zhuo, to bring his army to the capital. The eunuchs saw this sudden large army appearing out of nowhere and immediately knew something was up, leading to chaos in the palace, and they ambushed and killed He Jin. Cao Cao and Yuan Shao tried to charge in and kill the eunuchs, but it was too late. A few had escaped, taking the emperor and his brother as hostages. These eunuchs later perished in the ensuing chaos, while the emperor's 2 brothers got lost in the forest, where Dong Zhuo found them. This allowed Dong Zhuo to quickly gain a huge advantage and seize control of the court. The emperor's younger brother, Liu Xie, was more intelligent and bold than the older one, and Dong Zhuo liked him, so he wanted to replace the elder brother with the younger one. But another high-ranking official, Ding Yuan, opposed this, leading to a confrontation between the 2. Dong Zhuo lost the battle despite being a skilled warrior, simply because Ding Yuan had a legendary general on his side, Lu Bu, the adopted son of Ding Yuan. However, in the end, the adopted son turned out to be a traitor. Lu Bu betrayed and killed Ding Yuan in the middle of the night, all for a bit of money and a horse. But to be fair, it was Xiliang's famous steed, the Red Hare, the finest horse in the Three Kingdoms. With Lu Bu by his side, Dong Zhuo became the real power. He killed the emperor and the empress dowager, then placed Liu Xi on the throne as Emperor Xian of Han. Of course, the new emperor was just a puppet, and Dong Zhuo held all the real power. There were a few officials who opposed Dong Zhuo, but they were too afraid to act because of Lu Bu. So Cao Cao stepped up and said, "Leave it to me." Cao Cao borrowed the famous 7-star sword from the Minister of Works, Wang Dun, and went to confront Dong Zhuo while he was taking a nap. Cao Cao drew the sword but was caught by Dong Zhuo before he could strike. So he pretended to offer the sword to Dong Zhuo and then quickly fled the capital. It took a while for Dong Zhuo to realize he had been almost assassinated and sent people after him. A local official, Chen Gong, captured Cao Cao, but after hearing his explanation, decided to join him and escape together. They later met a family friend of Cao Cao's who let them stay at his place. At this point, Cao Cao was being hunted and he was paranoid. When he overheard the family discussing butchering a pig, he thought they were planning to kill him. So he killed the entire family to be safe. When he saw the pig, he felt embarrassed and justified the act by saying, "I'd rather betray others than let them betray me." Chen Gong was disgusted by this and left Cao Cao. Cao Cao went back to his hometown alone and posted an ad looking for allies. Thus, the 18 warlords united into an alliance to oppose Dong Zhuo. Yuan Shao was elected as the leader because of his influential background. It seemed like an easy win, 18 against 1, but when they reached the Yishui Pass, they were stopped by Dong Zhuo's general, Hua Xiong, who challenged them to a one-on-one duel. One by one, the allied generals accepted the challenge but were all killed. Just when it seemed no one would dare to face Huaxiong, Guan Yu volunteered. At this point, Guan Yu was still relatively unknown, so he had to insist, "If I lose, you must behead my brother before I go out to fight." Cao Cao was so impressed by his confidence that he poured him a cup of warm wine. Guan Yu said, "Wait here." Then he rushed out and decapitated Huaxiong. He came back to the camp before the wine had even cooled down. But Huaxiong was just a minor boss. The main boss was Lu Bu at the Hulao Pass. The allied army was trampled like mosquitoes by Lu Bu's forces. Gong Sunzan, the leader of Liu Bei's group, was chased down by Lu Bu like a chicken. Fortunately, Zhang Fei charged out to save him. Zhang Fei was strong but not enough to match Lu Bu, so Guan Yu jumped in to help. Liu Bei also rushed in to join the fight, trying to show he was useful. With the three of them attacking together, Lu Bu eventually got tired and retreated to rest, but it still looked like the allied forces had won, so their morale was high. At this point, Dong Zhuo realized he couldn't win, so he decided to burn down the capital, Luoyang, and move to Chang'an, the old capital of the Western Han dynasty. When the allied forces arrived, Luoyang was reduced to nothing but ruins. One of Yuan Shu's generals, Sun Jian, found the imperial jade seal in a well. The rumor spread, and this caused the already tense alliance to fall apart. Only Cao Cao was determined to continue the fight against Dong Zhuo, but he was ambushed and had to retreat. Everyone else went their separate ways. Sun Jian returned to his hometown in Changsha, but Yuan Shao coveted the jade seal and ordered Liu Biao to stop Sun Jian. Sun Jian was lured into an ambush by Liu Biao and killed. His 17-year-old son, Sun Si, had to take charge of the family. Though still young, Sun Si was smart enough to call for a ceasefire and lay low, waiting for the right moment. After the alliance dissolved, everything devolved into warlordism. Local lords ruled like kings and fought each other for control. Even leaders like Yuan Shao turned their armies on Gongsun-zan. Gongsun-zan, aside from Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei, also had Zhao Yun, who made his first appearance here. Meanwhile, Dong Zhuo seemed to have secured his position, but Wang Yun had other plans. Wang Yun had a beautiful adopted daughter, Diao Chan, whom he promised to marry to Lu Bu, then offered her to Dong Zhuo. He also slyly told Lu Bu that Dong Zhuo had stolen her from him. Lu Bu, now furious, betrayed his adoptive father and killed him. All for a woman. It's pretty crazy. Heroes of the world undone by a pretty face. The people of Chang'an celebrated Dong Zhuo's death. They stuck a wick in his belly button and lit it, making him burn like a torch. The fire lasted for days because Dong Zhuo was so fat. However, a power vacuum was created. Dong Zhuo's men rushed back to Chang'an to claim their share of the power. At this point, Lu Bu sided with Wang Yun and went out to block the enemies. But he was strong in body but simple in mind. He was lured far away and had his supply lines cut off from within the city. So, Lu Bu had to flee. Meanwhile, the duo of Liru and Guosi rose to power. They killed Wang Yun and plotted to dethrone the emperor and establish their own dynasty. However, the warlords, despite their control, still operated under the banner of the Han dynasty. The positions and powers they held still required imperial approval. If not, they'd be seen as rebels and would be hunted down by all. So anyone who wanted to overthrow the dynasty had to gradually eliminate the emperor's influence over time. There were also other concerns, like the return of the Yellow Turban Army. For this, Liru ordered Cao Cao to handle the situation. Cao Cao's campaign was a massive success, capturing 300,000 Yellow Turban soldiers and selecting the best ones to recruit into his own army. His influence grew rapidly, turning Yuanzhou into his new base of operations. He even invited his father, Cao Teng, to visit and show off his achievements. The governor of Shuzhou, Cao Xian, wanted to make peace with Cao Cao, so he sent a personal guard for Cao Teng. Little did he know, the guard was a former Yellow Turban soldier with a grudge. He stole everything and massacred Cao Cao's family, enraging Cao Cao and prompting him to march against Cao Xian. Cao Xian called for help from Kong Rong, the chancellor of Beihai, but Kong Rong was busy, so he outsourced the task to Liu Bei, who was still a low-ranking official at the time. Liu Bei managed to sneak through Cao Cao's army to reach Cao Xian. But facing Cao Cao's large force head-on was suicidal, so Liu Bei sent a letter asking Cao Cao to retreat. And Cao Cao did retreat, though no one understood why. The real reason was that Lu Bu had sabotaged Cao Cao's base, forcing him to return. But the people of Shuzhou thought Liu Bei had been responsible, so when Cao Xian died, Liu Bei was promoted to governor. Now, as for Lu Bu, after being kicked out of Chang'an, he wandered around, hopping from job to job, but was hated everywhere he went. Eventually, he teamed up with Zhang Miao to attack Cao Cao, But now, with Chen Gong backing his lack of strategy, Lu Bu was much more cautious. Even Cao Cao got caught in an ambush and had to retreat in a hurry. However, Cao Cao's strength remained superior, and after a series of back-and-forth battles, he managed to drive Lu Bu away. Lu Bu, out of options, fled to Liu Bei. Liu Bei knew that if not for Lu Bu, he would have never escaped Cao Cao before, so he welcomed him, despite Zhang Fei's objections. Meanwhile, Cao Cao was riding high on good fortune. Li Ru and Guo Si had started fighting among themselves, and Emperor Xian sent a letter for help. Cao Cao then rushed to the ruins of Luoyang, where he found protection from the general Xu Huang. This not only allowed Cao Cao to secure the emperor, but also added another strong general to his ranks. Having the emperor in his hands was like using a cheat code in a game. Cao Cao could order anything. The first thing he did was appoint Liu Bei as the official governor of Xuzhou with the condition that he must kill Lu Bu. Just then, Lu Bu showed up and invited Liu Bei out for drinks. When Zhang Fei saw Lu Bu, he immediately jumped in to attack. Though Liu Bei stopped him in time and said he didn't intend to let Cao Cao manipulate him, the rift between Liu Bei and Lu Bu had begun. Later, Cao Cao ordered Liu Bei to attack Yuan Shu. Liu Bei, unable to disobey the emperor's orders, reluctantly agreed, leaving Zhang Fei in charge of their base. Before leaving, Liu Bei made Zhang Fei promise not to drink any alcohol. But Zhang Fei, being Zhang Fei, got drunk and fought with Lu Bu. Lu Bu ended up beating him so badly that Zhang Fei had to flee Xuzhou. Liu Bei didn't blame his brother, but now they had enemies on both sides. This part is pretty complicated because no one really understands what Lu Bu was thinking. When Yuan Shu tricked Lu Bu into fighting Liu Bei, Lu Bu ended up accepting Liu Bei as his subordinate. Liu Bei, reluctantly agreeing, knew it was the only way to survive. On Yuan Shu's side, Sun Jian's son, Sun Ci, was also dissatisfied and no longer wanted to serve Yuan Shu. He traded the imperial jade seal for 3,000 soldiers and 500 horses, claiming he was going south to settle a score with Liu Dao. Yuan Shu, not the sharpest tool in the shed, agreed. So Sun Ce, along with his sworn brother Zhou Yu, headed south and captured a large territory in Jiangdong. From then on, the 20-year-old Sun Ce became known as the Little Overlord. Up north, Yuan Shu was still clashing with Liu Bei. He sent gifts to Lu Bu, hoping he would ignore Liu Bei, but Lu Bu rejected the offer. Not one to give up, Yuan Shu asked Lu Bu to marry his daughter to his son. Lu Bu was considering it when he received word that Zhang Fei had stolen his horse. Furious, Lu Bu immediately turned on Liu Bei and attacked him. This forced Liu Bei to seek refuge with Cao Cao. Meanwhile, Cao Cao faced his own trouble. Cao Cao was notorious for his love of women, especially those who were already married. He had just recruited a new general, Zhang Xu. Unfortunately, Zhang Xu's uncle had recently passed away, and Cao Cao had an affair with Zhang Xu's aunt, which deeply insulted Zhang Xu. Angry and betrayed, Zhang Xu plotted an ambush against Cao Cao. Cao Cao managed to escape, but he had to sacrifice his loyal bodyguard, Dian Wei, and his eldest son, Cao Ong. Zhang Xu, defeated, had to flee to Liu Biao's territory. At this moment, Yuan Shu went mad and declared himself emperor. As I've mentioned, the Han Emperor was still alive, so this move was incredibly foolish. Now, everyone turned against Yuan Shu, Lu Bu, Cao Cao, and even Sun Ce, all marched to strike him down. In this campaign, Cao Cao managed to broker peace between Liu Bei and Lu Bu. Afterward, he received even more good news. Li Ru and Guo Si were killed by their own men, and these men also came to submit to Cao Cao. Now that Cao Cao had dealt with Lu Bu, he immediately called in Liu Bei's people. However, the plan got exposed, and Lu Bu struck first, attacking Liu Bei. Liu Bei lost track of his brothers and had to flee to Cao Cao's side. Now there's one detail I don't want to overlook. On his way, Liu Bei met a hunter named Liu An, who invited him to share a meal. However, Liu An had no rice, so he had to cook his wife to serve Liu Bei. When Liu Bei realized what had happened, he could only weep and thank Liu An before leaving. Later, when Cao Cao heard about this, he rewarded Liu An with gold for his loyalty. It may sound strange, but this was seen as a lesson in civic duty about loyalty. In many Chinese legends, characters often sacrifice their loved ones for greater causes. Sometimes the line between evil and loyalty isn't so clear. Back to Lu Bu, it was obvious that he was great at one-on-one combat, but his strategy was lacking. So he could only lock himself up in his fortress, holding out for months. However, northern Chinese soldiers were often not skilled swimmers. When the floods came, Cao Cao blocked the river, flooding the city. Lu Bu's soldiers couldn't withstand it, so they had to surrender their leader to Cao Cao. Chen Gong, ever the honorable man, accepted execution, but Lu Bu cried and begged for mercy, offering to serve Cao Cao like a beast of burden. But Liu Bei, standing behind, whispered, "Don't trust this guy." So Cao Cao executed Lu Bu. One of Lu Bu's generals, Zhang Liao, was spared by Liu Bei and Guan Yu, as he was seen as a good man, or at least that's the story. History would later show that Zhang Liao became one of the greatest generals of the Wei Kingdom, but that's a story for later. For now, we're talking about the end of Lu Bu. The Chinese have a saying, Lu Bu among men, red hair among horses. Both Lu Bu and the famous horse, Red Hair, were the best in their fields. But no matter how strong you are, if you keep stabbing people in the back, you'll eventually get taken down. The lesson here is, if you want to succeed, don't be a scumbag. You can be cunning, but don't be despicable. After defeating Lu Bu, Cao Cao became the #1 power on the server. But like any warlord, he had his ambitions, and so did Cao Cao. Although Emperor Xian was powerless, he wasn't dumb. He wrote a decree to counter Cao Cao's influence and hid it in his belt, giving it to his father-in-law Dong Cheng to build a team. One standout member of the team was Liu Bei. Though his lineage was recognized, he was still confined in Xuchang, because Cao Cao had realized Liu Bei's ambitions. During a drinking session, Cao Cao said to Liu Bei, "The only heroes in this world are you and me." Liu Bei knew then that he had to escape as soon as possible. So he asked Cao Cao for permission to go clean up Yuan Shu's remnants. Fortunately, Cao Cao agreed. However, Yuan Shu didn't die at Liu Bei's hands. He starved to death because he couldn't eat the food his soldiers provided. Yuan Shu's last request before dying was to have a feast worth 800,000. But, of course, his soldiers didn't have that kind of luxury. Liu Bei, having completed the task, didn't return to Cao Cao, but instead, he took control of his old territory in Suzhou. After that, Liu Bei invited Yuan Shao to join him in fighting Cao Cao, following the emperor's orders. Yuan Shao hired a content creator to publish a scandal about Cao Cao, listing a series of his brutal acts and crimes, including holding the emperor hostage. As a well-known figure himself, Yuan Shao's influence in this media battle had a significant impact, forcing Cao Cao to spend a lot of time and resources rebuilding his image. For example, Cao Cao even had to make concessions to Zhang Xu, despite Zhang Xu having killed Cao Cao's bodyguard and eldest son. He also tried to form an alliance with Liu Biao, but that didn't work out either. Fortunately, Cao Cao's chronic migraines led him to uncover a doctor who was attempting to poison him. This eventually led him to Dong Cheng and the emperor's decree. Cao Cao then executed all the conspirators he found within the palace. One of the people Cao Cao discovered was Liu Bei, so he immediately set out to attack him, striking quickly before Liu Bei could become a bigger threat. At this point, Liu Bei, of course, couldn't match Cao Cao's power. Yuan Shao was busy taking care of his sick child, so he couldn't send reinforcements. Liu Bei was quickly overwhelmed and had to flee for his life. Liu Bei himself went missing, leaving only Guan Yu behind to protect his 2 sister-in-laws. Fortunately, Cao Cao had long admired Guan Yu, so he ordered that Guan Yu be spared and sent Zhang Liao to persuade him to surrender. At first, Guan Yu was ready to fight to the death, but Zhang Liao gently said, "Hey buddy, if you die, who's going to look after your sister-in-laws?" So Guan Yu agreed to surrender, but with 3 conditions. First, he would only serve the Han Emperor, not just Cao Cao. Second, he would arrange security for his sister-in-laws. Third, he could leave whenever he received news of Liu Bei. Though it sounded a bit unreasonable, Cao Cao, who had already become infatuated with Guan Yu, agreed to the terms. After that, Cao Cao did everything he could to win Guan Yu's favor, offering him wealth, status, a palace in Royal City, and even a Porsche. Oh, I mean the red hair horse. But despite all this, Guan Yu remained loyal to Liu Bei. However, that didn't mean Guan Yu didn't feel some sense of duty to Cao Cao. During the major northern battle between Cao Cao and Yuan Shao, Yuan Shao's general Yan Liang had killed several of Cao Cao's top generals, and even pushed back Cao Cao's forces, including Xu Huang. So, Guan Yu personally went to the battlefield and beheaded Yan Liang with a single strike. Right after that, another general from Yuan Shao's side, Wen Shu, went into battle. Cao Cao set up an ambush and trapped Wen Shu, but Wen Shu managed to push back Zhang Lo and Xu Huang before escaping. At that moment, Guan Yu, riding his red hair, quickly chased Wen Shu down. He laughed and said, "Where are you going, my friend?" before striking him down with one blow. With the loss of 2 powerful generals, Yuan Shao's army suffered a severe blow to its morale. Just then, the Yellow Turban Army rose up again in Ruyang. Guan Yu was tasked with handling it. He learned that Liu Bei was with Yuan Shao in this campaign, and the Yellow Turbans were actually sent by Yuan Shao and Liu Bei to capture Ruyang. So Guan Yu pretended to chase them, but in reality, he allowed them to retreat. When he returned to Xuchang to report, he received a secret letter from Liu Bei, confirming that Liu Bei was still alive. Guan Yu decided to leave. Cao Cao had already given his word, so he had to let Guan Yu go. Otherwise, it would make him look like a man of broken promises and ruin his reputation. However, Cao Cao's subordinates didn't see it that way, so Guan Yu had to fight his way through 5 passes and defeat 6 generals to reunite with his brother. This part was adapted into many movies and plays, but unfortunately, there's no RPG version of it, which would have been amazing. Basically, Guan Yu recruited people on his journey as he went. When heading north, he picked up Liu Hua, a longtime fan from the Yellow Turban Army. By the time he reached Yuan Shao's camp, Liu Bei had already gone to Ruyang. When Guan Yu returned to Ruyang, he recruited another old fan, Chu Chao, and coincidentally reunited with his brother Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei scolded him like a dog, thinking that Guan Yu had truly surrendered to Cao Cao. Just then, a Cao Cao general, Sai Yang, caught up with Guan Yu. So Guan Yu immediately killed Sai Yang to prove to Zhang Fei that he was still loyal. They reconciled and continued on to Ruyang. Soon, they learned that Liu Bei had returned to Yuan Shao's camp for a meeting. The whole group turned back north and finally caught up with Liu Bei. Yes, this emotional journey was really just a back-and-forth chase, but the true treasure was finding friends along the way. By this point, Liu Bei had decided to leave Yuan Shao because Yuan Shao was too indecisive. To be fair, this was how Liu Bei managed to survive after Guan Yu killed Yan Liang and Wen Shu. But in the end, it's better to rely on yourself. So Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei split off again, no longer following anyone. Before leaving, Guan Yu adopted Guan Ping, the son of a farmer. While traveling, he reunited with Zhao Yun, who had been wandering ever since the death of his lord, Gong Sunzan. Liu Bei invited Zhao Yun to join their group and set up camp in Ruyang. So, what could possibly stop Cao Cao now? Stay tuned for the next episode of the series.